Well, good morning on Tuesday, February 18th, day after President's Day. This morning I am continuing the process I started yesterday, and that is inserting cotton caulking into the seams on Roxanne's topside. And I thought I'd spend a few minutes sharing with you the process that I've been going through, and in the hopes that when it's your turn, you'll tackle this job the way I am. The cotton caulking comes in 1-pound packages, rolled up tightly, as we see here. Trying to handle that would be just a nightmare, because while it looks like it's nice and loose, the cotton is all sort of tangled up. So my first step involves rolling the cotton into a series of balls that are about the size of, I don't know, a large orange, small grapefruit. And then I drop a couple of those balls into a bucket around which I've got this very handsome, high-tech hank of rope that I put over my neck. My tools are really very simple. I use a plastic mechanics hammer. Why plastic? Because the plastic gives me a good solid impact, but it does not deform the head of the caulking iron the way a steel hammer would. I use 2 different caulking irons. I use this small, fairly sharp iron to first insert the cord, the caulking into the seams, and then a wider, slightly blunter iron to drive the caulking all the way into the seam, as we'll see in a minute. Okay, I stood up to do the first 2 seams, and actually the first part of this seam. But when we get this far down the port side of Roxanne, it's just very difficult for me, at least, to do everything I have to do while standing up at sort of an awkward angle. The process involves laying the cotton into the seam, and the goal is to create the look of a braided rope. The cotton is held here, and the iron is cradled between the fingers and thumb, and just work down the groove, grasping a little bit of cotton against the plank, sliding it up and into place. You work forward, you work, in this case, I'm left-handed, and so I have to work from left to right on any surface. A right-hander would be working in the opposite direction. Many people use the hammer and iron this way. This just has never been very comfortable for me, especially when I'm down low. So I just backhand it, and I keep working down every seam, trying to create a braided rope as even as I can. And you'll notice I'm grasping the yarn with the back end of the caulking iron, and I'm driving the iron forward, not straight in like this. That's not going to create what you want. So on and on we go, And now we'll pass and take a look at the next step. So the next step is to take the blunt caulking iron and your hammer. We don't have a standard wooden caulking mallet. I actually did have one, and I understand that historically it's the correct thing to use. The problem for me is that the barrel was 12 inches long, and particularly when I'm trying to use it this way, let's just say the tool and Michael did not get along with one another. So the trick here is not to drive it straight in. The trick here is to work at an angle, and again, it's a matter of you're just trying to make everything disappear. And again, the guys I've seen do this in a yard in Maine, simply develop a rhythm and move right along. Maybe it's all snow in Vermont, and having not done this for 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, I'm not quite as fast. But again, the caulking iron goes in at an angle, does not go in. You don't want to try to drive the cotton. You're trying to drive it at an angle and then seat it against the backside of the So we'll continue. And I find that sometimes I don't get it all the way in the first pass. So in those situations, I just simply go back. Reminding myself not to go in straight, to go in at an angle, so that I'm bunching the cotton caulking against itself, and making it tight this way as well as this way. Once we've gotten here, the next step is to paint every seam's interior as best you can with a really fine brush and an oil-based paint, probably the primer for the paint that you're going to use on the boat. In our case, Roxanne's going to be painted with Interlux Premium Yacht Paint 220, which is a satin semi-gloss white. The stipulated primer for this is Interlux Pre-Coat. So I'll take Pre-Coat and a small foamy and simply run along, and you want to saturate the cotton with the primer. So we'll keep on working and be back to you shortly. Bye-bye.